This week in movies, as I just said previously, we are talking about The Dark Knight and Hellboy 2. Two huge summer superhero movies. Once again, we are continuing our streak.
A streak of 2 superhero movies.
We're gonna start a streak of every summer there's been a comic book movie
Well,
or comic book
this
or
one's
super
had
every
like
week.
7.
Every week, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're gonna start with The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is the sequel to Batman Begins. It stars all the same players from the first one, except Maggie Gyllenhaal replaces Katie Holmes' role. And in addition to that, unless you've been living in a rabbit hole where you may have found the secret device, you know that Heath Ledger plays the Joker, and Aaron Eckhart is in it as well. And yes, I think those are the two big notable new guys. And it's directed by the same guy, Christopher Nolan, who we all knew and loved from Memento, and we love our first ever podcast that we hosted together.
The Prestige.
The very first movie that we all ever reviewed as a unit.
As a reviewing unit.
On Geektron 48 was The Prestige.
A review-nit.
Nice. The Dark Knight. It is basically about our fair-weathered hero, Batman, and Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Dent trying to track down the Joker. A lot of people are comparing it to Heat, and I think in many ways you could consider it to be, the Joker is Robert Downey Jr. Robert De Niro, and it's like mastermind cop versus mastermind criminal, and that is essentially the plot of the movie. Yeah. What did you think of the movie, Alex?
I had some very big reservations. I was probably the least excited.
We saw it in IMAX.
Oh,
yeah. Did see it in IMAX. Do you want to talk about the IMAX thing real quick?
Well, so they shot a few. So over the past couple years, they've been blowing up prints. They've been blowing up 35 millimeter prints to 65 millimeter to show them in IMAX screens. Well, instead of just doing that for this movie, Christopher Nolan actually shot 4 or so action sequences
and a lot of interstitial
and little tiny moments.
Yeah, little tiny moments
in IMAX. I think we can all talk about that experience as well. If it's worth going to the theater for that.
Sure.
How we felt.
So I was the one who was the most hesitant to see this movie. I, from the trailers, was like, oh man, Heath Ledger, I don't think so. I just was concerned. Loved Batman Begins. Could it stand up to Iron Man? Like, there's so many good movies. This movie blew me the fuck away. I loved it. It's long. It is too long in my opinion, but it's like a giant boat full of ice cream. It's all goodness, and you just go, I think that was maybe a little much for the ice cream.
You ice cream.
You ice
Too
cream.
much ice cream.
So that's literally what this movie is. It's gorgeous from beginning to end. Heath Ledger, amazing. I mean, obviously, it was a complete, utter shame that he passed away so early in his career. But not only that, after seeing this, I want to see more of this Joker, and I know I can't. Maybe a reason why I felt that way about the Joker. I don't know. It was great. Aaron Eckhart. I was blown away. I mean, I'm not against him, but I'm not a huge fan. And I was like, wow, that's a great Harvey Dent. So I loved it. I think if you like Batman Begins, you should see it. I personally loved the IMAX. When you're sitting there, you don't really realize that it goes from letterbox to IMAX, except for the fact that when it happens, it's like you're there. I mean, it is the most amazing.
And they do it on these helicopter shots, so you're just like, whoa.
Well, and they also do it in some scenes, and you're like, what the balls? This is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. Didn't take me out of the movie. I was worried. If you can see it in IMAX, and go see it. Loved it.
You, sir, too, sir.
This is the reason I'm a geek. This movie, this is the reason why I get excited about these genre films is because I believe that these properties have this kind of potential to them. I loved Batman Begins, but this movie surpasses Batman Begins on every level. It is actually a fulfillment of the promise of Batman Begins, which I think is a complete movie in and of itself, but there are so few sequels that take every aspect of the first film and build upon it. Gary Oldman, we realize why he was in the first movie. There is so much to this film, I can't even contain myself. I walked out of it feeling like I felt when I walked out of Iron Man, and I actually think this is a better movie for Iron Man simply because it is so much more complex and real. Every plan that the Joker has, and he has a lot, not just one. There are multiple plans in this film that they're all so smart and devious and brilliant, and you really see. I think about the first Batman movie with the Keaton Batman movie, Tim Burton, with that Joker. And as much as I enjoyed it, the Joker was just this kind of over-the-top, wacky criminal.
Gangster, yeah.
The Joker in this film is a criminal mastermind, and you really see him outthink people.
But who's also crazy.
Yes. Also, real quick, I want to say I didn't realize how big of a role Aaron Eckhart would play in this movie, and he's great. I love seeing, and I love that this isn't an origin story for the Joker. He just comes in and it doesn't matter all that stuff.
I love how they handle his origin story.
Well, how did you
Yes,
feel?
exactly.
Yes.
How did you feel?
Exactly.
Okay. Love the movie. I agree. Better than the first. Breathtaking. Like, not even as hyperbolic. Like I literally was without breath. I found myself like when I was a kid watching Jurassic Park, or Jaws, where you're like, and you realize, oh my God, I haven't been breathing. There is so many suspense. The tension. I was intense throughout the whole movie. There were so many. Hotel Rwanda. I remember saying that about that movie was filled. It wasn't just one tense sequence.
It was tension.
Yeah, this movie was just one giant block of there's a famous Hitchcock thing with difference between surprise and tension, and surprise is, people playing cards and a bomb goes off, and suspense is you see the bomb being planted underneath the table and it ticks away, and then they're playing cards. Like, there were so many literal and figurative ticking time bombs in this movie. I love how it's shot.
But in a way you've never seen before. Those ticking time bombs in a way you've never seen before.
Yeah. I love the taste of Christopher Nolan. I love the way the Joker is shot. His taste, like
how he tastes. Like you've licked it.
Actually, it tastes like candy.
The way he chooses to shoot the Joker, the way he chooses to shoot some explosions, so they're not just fireballs. There's moments that happen within an explosion.
Oh, dude,
moments
there's some
before
moments
and stuff.
with Joker and explosions that the performance of Joker. You can't eat. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what else I love about this movie? It's really not a superhero movie.
No.
It's like a James Bond movie mixed with Seven. It feels like the best James Bond movie you've ever seen mixed with the tension and craziness of Seven.
Right.
I will
Less
say too,
gore and weirdness.
About my impression of the IMAX, I want to hear your impression of the IMAX too. The sequences that were shot in
you were
IMAX
worried.
and the opening scenes in IMAX, insane.
I know. I wanted it throughout the whole movie.
I did, exactly.
Yeah.
I was distracted. And I am not a big fan of when it's not shot in IMAX, those sequences. I think it's a little muddy. I think it's unclear. I think it's better looking in a regular screen. But the ice cream tasted so good.
The boat of ice cream.
It's worth it.
I will tell Steve, who hasn't had a chance to see it yet, I think you should see it in IMAX.
Yeah.
I know you're about your ticket already,
Cancel
but
it doesn't matter. It's worth it.
It really
Oh my
is.
God.
It really
It's a
is worth
different
it. I
movie.
think.
Yeah.
Did you think it's worth it?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as I didn't like it when it wasn't in IMAX, like when it's just blown up, the IMAX stuff is freaking worth it.
Gorgeous.
I know. I will say too. This was apparent in the first one, but maybe he didn't talk as much. But really, Christian Bale's voice, it's nitpicky. And I know why they
because he
had
has so much more
that.
dialogue.
But
Exactly.
this one also, as Batman, with this one, I thought he even went further into the like.
I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Batman.
that's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about when
That's what I'm
Dominic
talking
Batman.
about.
I don't like that at all.
It really does sound like a 4-year-old trying to impersonate a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about the score. Because
Okay.
the score is phenomenal.
Now,
I didn't notice it, but go ahead.
I will say, I'm glad you brought that up. The score, as far as I can tell, there's no new cues in this one from the first one, but we never talked about the first one.
Right.
The score is unbelievable, and I think this score, if you listen to this score and you listen to the score to the Tim Burton Batman, you know what film scores were doing in the 80s and what film score is now. They are perfect examples. The other thing I think perfectly summarizes where modern filmmaking is now, where Batman, the bat signal,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tim Burton,
So-
clean
so
and crisp
crisp,
and whatever.
yeah.
And our bat signal, it's fuzzy.
But I want to
Everything.
know what you mean by that. What you mean by what music is doing now and what music is doing then.
Before we had big fanfare themes, and now and music was more. There's a march guy who did marching music, and the dude who did Kurzweil, whatever. John Williams sort of based all his music off of that, and then people sort of riffed off of John Williams. Even Danny Elfman, who had his own spin on it, but it was all fanfare. And now we have more ambient, mood, atmospheric.
There's also a pace. The pace of this movie,
driving.
you jump right into
Yeah.
it. There's no warning. You're there. You're going, and you never stop. And the score reinforces that. It's almost breathless. And I think for me, the structure of this movie is amazing. And I think that's one of the things that Nolan excels at. He and his brother, who are the co-writers, excel at. Is it works as a perfect little object.
Well, but now,
the
did
way
you
we
think
start
it
and
was
where
too
we
long?
end.
Did you think
I
it was
didn't
too
think it was
long?
too long. No.
Did you have